Does traveling seem super stressful to you now that you eat gluten-free? Well, in this video, I'm going to share 5 tips that you can use in your next trip while being gluten-free and reduce your stress. They are broad and simple enough that you can use in a variety of different travel styles and destinations. These are the exact tips that I use when I travel, and I have shared them with fellow celiacs, and they have helped make their lives easier. Hi, my name is Ashley, and I've been gluten-free for over 13 years after I was diagnosed with celiac disease. This hasn't stopped me at all. I've been to over 18 countries and even moved across the world while being gluten-free. Let's get right into it. Imagine this, you're at a new destination, you're hungry, jet-lagged, after a long flight, just want to shower and something to eat, but you find yourself, you have no idea where to find gluten-free food. What happens? You just go into panic mode. Or like me, you get super disappointed, frustrated, sad, even have a good cry if I have to admit it, and then kind of hate being gluten-free. And all of this could have been avoided with one simple thing, doing a bit of research. So that's my first tip. Do your research. It doesn't have to be days in ahead. It doesn't have to be weeks ahead. Sometimes for a short trip, I'll do it a few hours before, or even when I'm waiting for the flight, or if I know it's a bigger trip, I'll take a bit of time. But it doesn't have to be complicated. Just do a bit of research. What I like to do is to go into Google Maps. I find the city where I'm going to be or the location where I'm going to be, and I just type gluten-free. Then different restaurants start appearing, so I go into each, usually see what the description, what they have to say. If it says 100% gluten-free, this could be a good idea to visit. So I usually save them in a list of the city I'm going to be in. If I'm really not sure if it's 100% gluten-free or why this appeared in my search, then I go to the reviews and type in gluten or gluten-free and see what people have said around this topic. Sometimes it says great gluten-free place, so it could be great. Then some other times it says not suitable for gluten-free or not suitable for celiacs, so then I don't save it. The other thing you can do is click on the link of the restaurant if it has one, and you can see their menu and see what they have to say in their menu. Another app people have recommended to me, but I personally don't like to use very much, or I use very cautiously, is Find Me Gluten-Free. This app gives you a good idea of what is available in that area, but I don't fully trust the reviews or the comments it says. It has happened a few times that it says celiac safe, and I've gone and it's actually not true and it isn't celiac safe. So maybe it's good for people with gluten intolerance, I'm not sure, but for me as a celiac, I don't trust it 100%. It kind of gives me an idea of what I can look for, but then I always do my research and see if it's somewhere that is safe for me. So another thing I like to do is go on TripAdvisor. They also have a filter where you can search gluten-free. And then another just old plain Google, read a couple of blogs, and then I kind of save those restaurants also into my Google Maps. And then I have maybe a list of gluten-free places I can visit. And if you get hungry in the middle of the day, you can also open up your Google Maps, see where you are, and see what's the nearest restaurant. So I'd say research is everything. So then you have this beautiful map with all these pins in places you could eat. So that is my first tip. Tip number 2. Have you ever been on a long flight where they've forgotten your gluten-free meal? Well, that's happened to me. There was a problem between the airlines, the operators, and my gluten-free food was not on the plane. It was a 14-hour flight and there was no specific food packed for me. Good thing I had snacks packed, and it was a night flight, but it wasn't very agreeable, I have to say. So for long flights, when I'm buying the tickets, I put in that I need a gluten-free meal. Then around 48 hours before, I try and always call the airline to confirm that my gluten-free meal has been ordered. And then when I get to the counter to do the check-in, I also try and confirm with them. And usually it works. This has only happened to me once, and I hope it doesn't happen again. Fingers crossed. And with the hotel, I try and let them know in advance. So I usually use Booking, and in Booking you can put a comment section. So then I usually put, please, I request one gluten-free breakfast if breakfast is included, for example, in the deal, or if I know I'm going to want to have breakfast there and to see what they can offer. So don't forget to call your airline and let them know in advance, as well as your hotel. Tip number 3. Imagine this, you're in a foreign country, you don't understand the language, and you're sitting at the restaurant and you have no idea what to order. So who has this happened to? Me. Well, as I said, I've traveled a lot, and one of the destinations I went was China. I have to say it might be one of the hardest places I've been to for gluten-free, but I did manage. So the people there were so nice. They used to use these apps to translate in real time, which was not a big thing back then because I went quite a few years ago. And I managed to get across. If you are in this situation where the language is completely different to yours, I'd recommend getting one of these restaurant cards that are available online. So you pay for them, you download them, and you can print them. So then you give them to the waiter or whoever's preparing your food or kind of you that you can talk to. I recommend to print a few copies and have it on your phone. If the country has maybe a similar language or a language you feel comfortable in, I really don't think a restaurant card is necessary if you've done the research portion of it. If you haven't done research, which I do not recommend, but if you haven't, maybe a restaurant card is good. But what I do recommend is to lower the language barrier, is to do some research, but language-wise. So look up how to say gluten-free in the language of the country you're visiting. Write it down. For example, flour is maybe bread, maybe oats, different things that could appear in an ingredient list. Always have Google Translate available and pre-download the language of the country you're going to be in. This way, if you don't have a really good reception, it will work anyway. And always try and have internet because this can be a lifesaver. Sometimes it's also helpful to say I have a gluten allergy instead of celiac, even though I know it's not the same thing, but people understand the concept of allergy much more than celiac. It might not be something they know. So look for the terms you need, have your questions ready in the language, and make sure you have Google Translate activated and ready to go. Tip number 4. I feel that the next tip is something that most celiacs or gluten-free people already do, but it's maybe a good reminder. It's never comfortable to be stuck in a place with nothing to eat. I always have a cereal bar, a protein bar, some chips, something to eat in my bag, or maybe a sandwich. Being prepared, I think you can never be too prepared. Having snacks can save you if the airline forgot your food, if there's a delay and you're stuck at an airport where you don't know what to eat. And having a stomachache on the plane is not an option, believe me. I've lately discovered they also sell some meals that are gluten-free that can help in these situations where you just have to add hot water. And a friend actually tried them and said they were quite good. So I'll link them. Tip number 5. Want to know the best gluten-free hack that most travelers overlook? It's hiding in plain sight. Every time I travel, I make time to visit the local supermarket. It's such a fun way to get to know what products they sell, stock up on snacks, and just have a bit of fun. I love seeing what they sell in supermarkets in different countries, how they're organized differently. You can get maybe some gluten-free products, some naturally gluten-free products, find some interesting fruit that is gluten-free as well. It's a super fun way to get gluten-free products. Sometimes you might even discover your new gluten-free favorites. This has happened to me. I love going to Italy and I already know all the things I like and I bring back home if I can and have the space. So this is awesome. And a bonus tip. This might sound weird, but your toaster might be your best friend on your next road trip. Have you ever been in a situation where you go to an Airbnb, you see the toaster, it's full of crumbs, you think, oh, I'm never going to toast my bread there, even maybe with a bag, you really don't want to go near it. And if you're on a road trip, it might be the case that you have space to put in the gluten-free toaster. So I just put it in a bag and take it with me. It's so much easier to toast your bread because let's face it, gluten-free bread tastes so much better when it's toasted. I do this even when I go to a hotel, when I go to an Airbnb on a road trip, or just even maybe to a friend's house. It kind of takes off the pressure. When I've done road trips, I think it's the best decision to take the toaster with me. It doesn't use up so much space and it really makes my life just simpler. So, as a recap, do your research. Talk to the airline and your hotel in advance. Learn a little bit about the language. Don't forget the gluten-free snacks and visit the local supermarket. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and click follow. My next video will be about the step-by-step process that I do while researching gluten-free places. If you need help with gluten-free travel or anything gluten-free, click the link in the description below. I'm happy to help you.